In a sleepy southern town where time seems frozen and old habits die hard, one quiet evening at a dusty roadside diner took a turn no one saw coming. When a well-dressed black man walked in and was coldly refused service, the regulars barely looked up. Just another moment in a place where certain lines were never crossed. But what happened next would shake the entire town to its core, flip decades of unspoken rules on their head, and turn a casual act of prejudice into the most shocking twist Willow Creek had ever seen. By sunrise, the diner and the town itself would never be the same. The diner smelled of grease and coffee, the kind of place where the vinyl booths creaked and the jukebox played songs nobody had heard since the 80s. It was a small-town relic, nestled on the edge of Willow Creek, a town so quiet you could hear the river whispering at night. The neon sign out front flickered, May's Diner, though May herself had been gone for decades. The place was now run by Carla, a woman with sharp eyes and a sharper tongue, who ruled the counter like a queen on a chipped throne. It was a humid summer evening when Marcus walked in. The bell above the door jingled, and every head in the diner turned. He was tall, dressed in a tailored blazer that looked out of place among the flannel shirts and trucker hats. His skin was dark, his smile easy, but there was a weight to his presence, like he carried a story nobody in Willow Creek could guess. He slid into a booth by the window, his briefcase resting beside him like a loyal dog. Carla was behind the counter, wiping a glass with a rag that had seen better days. She glanced at Marcus, her lips tightening. The diner was half empty, but the silence grew thick. A few regulars, old men with sunburned necks and women clutching purses, whispered to each other. Marcus didn't seem to notice. He opened the menu, scanning it with the same calm focus he might have given a business contract. "Excuse me," he called after a few minutes, his voice polite but firm. "Could I get some service?" Carla didn't move. She kept wiping that glass, her eyes fixed on some invisible spot. The cook, a burly man named Hank, poked his head out from the kitchen, but Carla waved him off. The whispers in the diner grew louder, a low hum of judgment. Marcus leaned back in his booth, his smile fading but not gone. He tapped his fingers on the table, the rhythm steady, like a metronome counting down to something inevitable. "Ma'am," he tried again, louder this time. "I'd like to order." Carla finally set the glass down. She walked over, her heels clicking on the linoleum floor, and stopped a few feet from his table. "We're real busy tonight," she said, her voice cold as the iced tea in the pitcher behind her. "Might be a while." Marcus glanced around. There were empty tables everywhere, a waitress twirling a pen in boredom by the counter. He nodded slowly, as if piecing together a puzzle. "I see," he said. "Well, I'm not in a rush. I'll wait." But Carla didn't move to take his order. She crossed her arms, her face a mask of defiance. "Maybe you'd be more comfortable somewhere else," she said, the words slicing through the air. The diner went silent, the kind of silence that feels like it's holding its breath. Marcus didn't flinch. He looked at her, his eyes steady, searching. "I'm comfortable right here," he said. "But if you're refusing to serve me, I'd like to know why." The question hung there, heavy and dangerous. A few customers shifted in their seats, their eyes darting between Marcus and Carla. Hank stepped out of the kitchen again, his apron stained with grease, but he didn't say a word. Carla's face flushed red, her lips trembling with something she couldn't quite name. Anger, fear, or maybe both. "You're causing a scene," she snapped. "I don't have to serve anyone I don't want to." Marcus nodded again like he'd expected this. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a sleek black card, placing it on the table. "When you change your mind," he said, "I'll be here." Then he leaned back, opened his phone, and started typing, as if the entire diner hadn't just witnessed a standoff. Carla turned on her heel and stormed back to the counter, muttering under her breath. The whispers in the diner erupted into full-on chatter now, some defending Carla's right to run her business, others murmuring about how things were changing, how Willow Creek wasn't ready for people like him. Marcus didn't look up. He just kept typing, his face unreadable. By the time the clock struck 9, the diner was nearly empty. Marcus was still there, his coffee untouched, his briefcase still by his side. Carla hadn't served him, and he hadn't left. The other waitress, a young woman named Lily with nervous eyes, had tried to sneak him a menu, but Carla had caught her and sent her to clean the storeroom instead. When closing time came, Marcus stood, tucked his card back into his briefcase, and walked out without a word. The bell jingled again, and he was gone. The next morning, Willow Creek woke to a rumor that spread faster than wildfire. May's Diner had been sold. Overnight. Nobody knew how or why, but the news was everywhere. Whispered in the grocery store, shouted at the gas station, texted in group chats. By noon, a sleek black SUV was parked outside the diner, and Marcus was back. This time, he wasn't alone. A team of people in sharp suits followed him, carrying tablets and folders, their faces all business. Carla was already there, her apron slung over her shoulder, her face pale as she watched them march in. The regulars were there too, crowded into booths, their coffee growing cold as they tried to make sense of it all. Marcus stood in the center of the diner, his blazer replaced by a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled up. He looked around, taking in the peeling wallpaper, the cracked counter, the jukebox that hadn't worked in years. Then he spoke, his voice carrying the weight of a man who knew exactly what he was doing. "As of this morning," he said, "I am the new owner of May's Diner." The room erupted. Carla's jaw dropped, her apron slipping to the floor. The regulars gasped, some muttering curses, others staring in disbelief. Lily, who'd been sweeping in the corner, froze, her eyes wide with something like hope. Marcus continued, unfazed. "This place has been a part of Willow Creek for a long time, but it's been stuck in the past. That changes now. I'm not here to tear it down. I'm here to build it up. But let me be clear, this diner will serve everyone, no exceptions." He turned to Carla, who was trembling now, her hands clenched into fists. "You have two choices," he said. "You can stay and work for me, follow my rules, or you can leave. Your call." Carla's face twisted, her pride warring with something deeper. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Finally, she grabbed her purse and stormed out, the bell jingling one last time as she disappeared into the morning light. The diner was silent again. But this time it felt different, like the air had been cleared after a storm. Marcus turned to Lily, who was still clutching her broom like a lifeline. "You," he said, his smile returning. "What's your name?" "Lily," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "Lily," he repeated. "How'd you like to be the new manager?" Her eyes widened, and for the first time that morning, she smiled. The regulars exchanged glances, some uneasy, others intrigued. Marcus clapped his hands, breaking the tension. "All right, folks," he said. "We've got work to do. This place is getting a makeover and we're reopening tomorrow. Who's with me?" Nobody moved at first. Then Hank, the cook, stepped forward, wiping his hands on his apron. "I'm in," he said gruffly. "Long as you don't mess with my burger recipe." Marcus laughed, a deep, warm sound that filled the room. "Deal," he said. "Now let's get to work." By the next day, May's Diner was unrecognizable. The walls were freshly painted, the booths reupholstered, the jukebox humming with new life. A sign out front read, "Grand reopening, all are welcome." The menu had been expanded, with dishes that nodded to the town's roots, but also brought in flavors nobody in Willow Creek had tasted before. Jerk chicken alongside meatloaf, mango salsa next to mashed potatoes. The grand reopening was packed. People came from Willow Creek and beyond, drawn by the story that had already gone viral online. Someone had recorded the confrontation between Marcus and Carla on their phone, and the video was everywhere. Hashtag Willow Creek Diner trending on every platform. Influencers showed up with their cameras, locals came out of curiosity, and families drove in from neighboring towns to see what the fuss was about. Marcus worked the room like he'd been born to it, shaking hands, cracking jokes, making sure every plate was perfect. Lily, now in a crisp manager's uniform, ran the floor with a confidence nobody knew she had. Hank was in the kitchen, grumbling but grinning as he flipped burgers and tried out new recipes. The diner buzzed with life, with laughter, with the clink of glasses and the hum of conversation. But the real moment came when Marcus stepped to the front of the room, a microphone in hand. The crowd quieted, their eyes on him. He didn't talk about the viral video or the confrontation with Carla. Instead, he told a story. "I grew up in a place like this," he said, his voice steady but soft. "A small town where people knew your name but not always your heart. My mom worked in a diner just like this one, scrubbing floors, serving coffee, smiling through things nobody should have to smile through. She taught me that a place like this isn't just about food, it's about people. It's about second chances." He paused, his eyes sweeping the room. "I didn't buy this diner to prove a point. I bought it because I believe in what it can be. A place where everyone has a seat at the table. So thank you for being here tonight. Let's make this place something special." The room exploded in applause. People were on their feet, some with tears in their eyes. The video of Marcus's speech hit the internet that night, racking up millions of views by morning. Hashtag May's Diner became a movement, a symbol of change in a world that needed it. Articles were written, podcasts recorded, and talk shows called, all wanting to know more about the man who'd turned a small-town diner into a beacon of hope. Marcus never told the full story of how he'd bought the diner. Some said he was a tech mogul, others a real estate tycoon. There were rumors of a trust fund, a lottery win, a secret deal. But Marcus didn't care about the rumors. He cared about the diner, about Lily's new confidence, about Hank's experiments with jerk-spiced fries, about the kids who now came in after school, their laughter filling the booths. Carla never came back. Some said she'd moved away, others that she was too ashamed to show her face. But Willow Creek didn't dwell on her. They had a new story now, one that was bigger than her, bigger than the diner itself. Months later, a new sign went up outside May's Diner. It wasn't flashy, just simple letters carved into wood. Everyone's table. Below it, in smaller print, was a dedication. For Mom. The diner never stopped being busy. And Marcus? He was always there, in the background, watching the place he'd built come to life. Sometimes he'd sit in that same booth by the window, his briefcase beside him, a cup of coffee in his hand. He'd smile, tap his fingers to the rhythm of the jukebox, and know that he'd done something right. If that story left you speechless, you're not alone. Moments like these remind us how fast the tables can turn when justice walks in wearing a smile. If you want more powerful, true-to-life tales that challenge the status quo and flip the script in the most unexpected ways, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. We've got more stories on the way. Some shocking, some uplifting, all unforgettable. Stick around. The next twist might be even wilder.